Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, January 27th, 2026. I, of course, am Hammer, the founder of Originator Success and Grab and Go Social and Rate Sensei. Three separate but awesome products that you should check into to help you to get more business and do better business in 2026. Appreciate you joining me. Remember, you can join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time on Facebook and on YouTube. If you're watching on the replay, don't forget, give me a hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know that you were here. I'm going to work on making this a little bit more replay friendly as well. So you'll see some changes coming soon. If you'd like to join me live and you want a reminder so you don't forget, you can sign up for a reminder, get a quick text alert at hmmr.io/reminder. Or use this cool QR code that's on the screen right now. Also, if you would like a daily email lock advice, it's www.ratelockadvice.com. You can sign up for our text alerts. They're $7 a month. You can't beat them. www.ratetextalerts.com. So if you're here this morning, say good morning. Welcome to all the live folks. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Got a question of the day for you. If you're here live, where do you live? And how cold is it by you this morning? So this morning, or how cold was it? If it's, a little bit warmer now, how cold was it? It was 3 degrees here this morning in Western North Carolina. Definitely chilly weather. 3 degrees is cold. It's probably stick your tongue to the pole and get stuck to the pole cold. How cold was it by you this morning? And where do you live? Put that in. That is the question of the day. So while so many are joining us, good morning, Mallory Fotiades. Good morning, Sean Segaloff. Bacon and mortgages. I love it. Good morning, Mallory Fotiades and Jared Vincent, Vicky McSweeney. Loans with Mo and Angela Walters. Good morning. Amy Blauser and Mr. Zane. How are you, sir? Zane, how cold was it at your neck of the woods? And where do y'all live? What town? Faye said, Round Rock, Texas, 25 degrees and feels like 21. And if you walk outside with just a t-shirt, it probably feels like 15. I love that feels like, but that they do. So if you see me looking down, by the way, that's because Miss Sophia is being needy this morning and decided that she wants some extra love. And it's funny. I should probably put the here. Let me do this for a minute, and we'll go back to the good camera in a second. But here, there you go. And so you could see here, Miss Sophia sitting on my lap, spoiled. She has decided that she wants a little extra affection and attention this morning. So let me go back to the good camera. Isn't this amazing, the quality difference? This is the video camera that's built into the monitor. And these are $1,000 monitors, by the way. LG, I forgot what they are. High resolution. But look at this. You switch to the iPhone camera, though, and it is like Hollywood level. It's amazing how far these cameras have gotten. It's crazy. So, all right, my friends, let's go ahead as I sit here and ramble and babble. Let's go ahead and get started. We'll start out first by taking a look at the technicals. Let me pull up that screen and let's go ahead and get going. Good morning. Ron Siegel, by the way, says today we celebrate. What are we celebrating? What day is it today, Ron? National Chocolate Cake Day. That's a great one. So, all right, we'll start here with a quick recap. What happened yesterday? That is going to be this section down here. And basically, let me zoom in on this and then we'll. Okay, so taking a look here. I have to have this set up a little bit better in the morning. Hold on a minute. Let me move this. Get rid of this. Put this up. Okay. Come on, Miss Sophia. If you're going to be on my lap. Oh, now she's going to move. Okay, there we go. All right, so back to this. Sorry, y'all. If you take a look yesterday, right around 10 a.m., pricing came out. Things were actually pretty flat, but there was a nice steady improvement through the day. Remember, up is good for rate sheet pricing. So when we see mortgage bond pricing go up on the day, that puts a smile on your face. It wasn't enough of an improvement to see reprices better. But we did end the day about 10 basis points higher than when pricing came out, which basically lined us up to have a good morning this morning if those gains held, which, spoiler alert, they didn't at first, right? Overnight trading, we saw this little bit of a cliff here. However, look at where we're at now, all the way up here. So not only do we have these gains, we're up here. We're currently up 6 basis points. We're up 6 basis. I didn't want that one. I want this one. We're up 6 basis points on the day this morning. Notice, though, the 10-year Treasury yield still at 4.22. Yesterday, it ended the day at 4.21. It was at 4.23 the day before. Pretty much stagnant. We're not seeing much movement. Matt Graham over here at MBS Live, give him a shout out. I like to give credit where credit is due. He said that it could possibly be a signal that we're seeing some GSE, remember Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, we're seeing some GSE bond buying, mortgage-backed security buying in the background. He did not say that it was definitive, and I did not try to ferret out if there's any truth to that. But it makes sense that we could be seeing improvement here in mortgage-backed securities to see that follow through on the $200 billion in mortgage-backed security buying that was supposed to happen, which Logan Motoshami had said that there had been about 70 billion bought already. So, I don't know where those numbers actually fall in, if they were doing 200 billion more or if 200 billion total, for holdings or however that was going to be. But basically, we have seen some nice improvement here after all of the fiasco where we dropped down with last week's stuff with Greenland and Japan. So remember, the two big events last week were the tariffs and the control of Greenland and everything that was related to that, and then the issues that were happening in Japan. So today, we should be all set to see better rate sheets on the day. Let me move this over so it comes in on the screen for you. There you go. All right, so we should see better rates than yesterday, and we were at, we went from 6.19 to 6.17 yesterday. This morning should be even more improved. I'd say probably 6.13, 6.12 if you're using Mortgage News Daily as a reference point. And basically, that's not going to put us back down to the 5.99 we saw, but I mean, it does keep rates low. Rates are actually improving. Now, everything could change tomorrow with the Fed meeting, so we'll talk about that in a minute as well. So reprice risk on the day is low. Really not anything we have to worry about today. Markets will prepare for tomorrow's Fed meeting. Not really anything else going on today. Nothing big in the headlines that is market moving. But there's definitely some headlines and some things we'll go into. So we'll spend more time talking about the Fed meeting tomorrow. But there is the normal routine article that we get from my man over here in Jerome Powell we get from Nick Timros over at the Wall Street Journal. Freudian slip there because I saw Jerome right there. But this is Nikki T, the Fed whisperer. Fed set to pause rate cuts with no clear path to resuming. Officials disagree over when inflation data will justify further reductions. But if we take a look, markets, they're not pricing in any kind of cut. Not one this meeting, not one next meeting. That's, down to less than 15%. And in April, about 25%. So very unlikely. Markets are not pricing in a rate cut either. We're not looking for a lot of rate cuts this year. It's just, things are very close to an equilibrium. But as far as some of the other stuff here, Federal Reserve officials are expected to pause interest rate cuts this week after 3 consecutive reductions since September. The Fed's benchmark rate will remain that's what no rate cut means. And inflation is stuck around 2.8 above the Fed's 2% target, and a rate cut before mid-year would likely require labor market deterioration. So the reality is next week's labor market data is important, but it's not nearly as important as the one that's going to come after it. So March 18th is the next Fed meeting, which means that we'll have the February labor market data and the March labor market data. So when we're kind of forecasting where things are, make sure you answer the question of the day. By the way, it's down at the bottom. Where do you live and how cold is it? I'm going to circle around and we'll answer those at the end of the live today. But if we take a look, the lock advice remains the way it has been. I'd lock anything closing in the next couple of weeks because I don't think tomorrow's Fed meeting is really going to have anything that would point to lower rates. The Fed's not going to cut rates. I don't think that we see anything that really points to a dovish Fed meeting. We're going to get a lot of drama around the DOJ investigation and all those accusations. We'll hear some more. I think they're supposed to come out with the Lisa Cook thing very soon and say that Trump isn't able to fire her for cause because they're, and what represents cause. So we'll see how all that pans out. But I'm, cautiously floating anything that's a little bit longer. When you look here, we are getting small day-to-day improvements on rate sheets. And look at this path. As long as mortgage-backed securities are moving higher, then arguably it's okay to float, even loans closing in 15 days, because you would go ahead and pick up a little bit of pricing. We could pick up a little bit. So if you want to float, locking's a conservative stance, and I would only lock things closing the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, cautiously floating into tomorrow's meeting to see what happens. But I don't think the meeting's going to be very helpful. And if you do float into the meeting, be ready to lock. I don't think that next week's labor market data is really going to be all that helpful. We keep saying it's a soft labor market, and there's definite signs of softening, but it's not a crushing labor market that's getting its butt kicked, right? So keep that in mind. And there you go. So now that Ron set me up for the softball, so we're going to get into that one right now. Ron said, if we have another government shutdown this weekend, we will see what happens with no data again. So let's talk about that. And again, everybody's got to cover up your belly button. Highly charged, emotionally charged topics that generally come along with politics. So right now, one of the things we could be looking at is another government shutdown. And this is very much political theater. And I'm not saying that what's happening in Minnesota does not need to be dealt with. I'm really not even commenting on it at all. Quite honestly, I'm emotionally exhausted watching people voice their opinions. I know that my opinion isn't going to change anyone else's. You're either going to agree with me because you already feel one way or disagree with me because you already feel another. So what I think doesn't matter. What I am talking about is this absolutely is theater. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. This is all theater. There is so much going on because remember, political parties are about the survival and thriving of political parties, Democrats and Republicans. They're very much on their own thing. And so they're using this. It's not, although they can walk along a line of morality or integrity, they're not moral or integrity-based people. Most of the politicians are not morally focused. They're just, what happens is they're using public opinion and morality to get to their cause. This is important to note because they're using the unrest and everything that's going on in Minnesota and Minneapolis. It's all for midterm theater. The shutdown, they're threatening, Democrats are threatening to shut down unless there's a change in funding for ICE and the CBP, which is forgive me, Customs Enforcement and Border Patrol. So, but here's the deal. All that money, you can even see right here, it received massive funding in Trump's big bloated bill. So this is political theater. Don't let the headlines, especially in the very liberal, like USA Today, Washington Post, they're going to really spin this crap. This is all theater. What could happen is if it does lead to a shutdown, it's just going to make things a bit of a mess for us. You got IRS shut down again. We're going to have data issues and the data being collected. Who knows how this would actually pan out, because what are they actually championing for, right? So if this happens, we had a 43-day government shutdown, which was messy, but didn't do anything. The ACA is still being worked on. Extension did pass House, but it's in front of the Senate. But, we'll see where all this goes. But if it were to shut down, basically it's going to have the same effect that it had last time. You're not going to see any of the data, which means it's going to be very much where bonds kind of drift a little bit and all that stuff. So we'll see where this goes. But, they're supposed to have this thing funded by the end of the month, which is the end of this week. The first is on Sunday. So, we'll see where this mess goes. But again, don't fall for this. No matter where you stand on the issues, just recognize that this is all political theater. None of these scumbags really are moral people that are doing it for the right reason. They're not. I don't care what anyone says, and I think most people would agree with me. This is all about public opinion and utilizing public opinion, just like it was 3 months ago or however long it's been since they did this last time. So, but hopefully this does not happen and we don't go through there. Ron Siegel said, spot on, all theater. ICE has been funded through 2029. The media won't mention that. Pull the legs out from under the bloviators. This could really hurt TSA with flights canceled, could affect FEMA. No one talks about that part. Exactly. So hopefully this doesn't happen. There is some hope that it won't because of some articles that are on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. And, the fact that Trump is talking about, maybe changing his stance. The 48 hours to convince Trump to change his course in Minnesota. So I'm not a social commentator. I'm not commenting on this. We're not talking about this. I know a lot of people have the need to be heard about this. I don't. I just really want to talk about how it affects on mortgage rates and pricing and where we're at here. So bottom line, we're likely to see the 10-year treasury yield stay very much in the same realm. It's above 4.20, which has been a huge line in the sand for a long time. You can see that very much right about here. Okay. So we're above that 4.20 mark. Actually, we'll call it right there. Okay. And that sucks that we're above that. So we would love to see it drop back below that. That's going to act as a very, very strong resistance level to stop the yield from now falling below that. For a long time, we weren't above that. So we want to watch that 10-year treasury yield. Again, we're seeing the spreads tighten between mortgage bonds and the 10-year, though. We have improved a little bit. Basically, after Trump's announcement the first time, after his post, we were at 100.11. This morning, we're at 100.12. So that Friday, remember the Friday when everything took off, and that was when we got our best pricing on Monday morning before things lost ground. So generally what happens, you see that the best market reaction on Friday, and then you go back and look here, and we saw the rate sheet that went along with that on Monday, the day after, and that was right here. And we're seeing rates. These are great rates. Get out there and go rattle the trees. Make some money. So we're in a good spot for this. Let's go ahead and answer the question of the day. And let's go ahead and see who's got the coldest weather. So Modesto, California, 56 degrees. That doesn't make it. Salt Lake City, 22 degrees and no snow. No snow. That sucks. Exactly. How does it affect our clients that want a home loan? And that's what I'm here to tell you. That's what we talked about. So, and that's all we're going to talk about. Hi, Lisa. She said it's in Ohio and it is 12 degrees. Good to see you, Lisa. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Let's see. Randy Tickle said all iced in, about 6 inches of ice in Dallas, Fort Worth. Really? That much ice? Holy smokes. 23 degrees. Lawrenceville, Georgia, 18 degrees. Yeah, you're not used to that out in Lawrenceville, Georgia, are we? Brandy Brickler, Austin, Texas, 23 degrees. Very similar to DFW. Ron Siegel is freezing his butt off, 51 degrees in SoCal. 28 degrees, North Houston. Arkansas, 23 with 6 inches of snow from the weekend. 20 in Atlanta. Kansas City, a lot warmer today, 18 degrees again. Yeah, we're cold over here. We were 3 degrees this morning. 36, Orlando, Florida. Nathan, dude, Florida's not supposed to be that cold. Massachusetts, 12 degrees. Yeah, Massachusetts is supposed to be cold, man. Destin, Florida, minus 26. Get out. What? Fotiadis, are you in the cold tub? The cold plunge? Destin, Florida, minus 26 degrees? Come on. Or no, I think, oh, it's not minus. Maybe it's 26 degrees, which is still freezing cold. All right, you had me going there. My son, Zach, what's up, Zach? He says 13 degrees here by him in North Carolina, 47 at Cold Ventura, California, Lake Havasu City, Arizona, 39. Oh, man. Derek Bobadilla, 7 degrees out there in California. Yeah, 26 degrees. I was like, what? Minus 26? That's crazy. All right, my friends. Well, thank you for joining me. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate you. Hope today helps. Tomorrow we're going to have a lot more to talk about with the Fed meeting. So be sure to join me tomorrow. We're going to talk about what's going on with that Fed meeting, kind of which way things are headed. We'll see where the wind is blowing as we get into the meeting, maybe what could be talked about. Again, I don't think we're going to see anything that's going to be able to help the meeting, but there's definitely going to be some drama during the press conference. And I'm wondering how that'll play out. So -2 in Wisconsin, Zach. Yeah, cold. It's going to warm up by the time we get there, though. So it's a good year for snowmobiling. Woohoo! All right, everybody, have a fantastic one. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.